There's many different things that you can get up to in Star Citizen. You may enjoy capturing bounties and dogfighting in space, delivering packages, raiding bunkers, pirating other explorers, or mining quantanium among a sea of asteroids. And for every one of these things, there is a perfect ship. There'll be a ship that specializes in whatever you want to get up to in the verse. But the majority of the time, you might just find yourself wandering around without a crew, without an idea of what you're going to get up to. And that's where a daily driver comes in. A daily driver is, well, it's something different for everyone, but for me, I describe it as the ship that you find yourself in when you're not sure exactly what you want to do, but whatever you find yourself doing, you want to be able to be prepared. You want to be able to take it on and do it well. My name's Dead Leader, and I'm going to show you my top daily drivers. I'm going to start off with the Drake CUTLASS Black. The CUTLASS Black has a size 2 shield generating about 10,000 HP, and the hull has about 32,000 HP. It has 4 size 2 guns, which can put out about 612 DPS, and if you put the right missiles in it, you can probably get about 67,000 damage. It has decent speeds and handles well in atmosphere, and it can handle a tier 2 quantum drive and carries about 2,500 quantum fuel. There's a cargo size of 46 SCU, 2 crew lockers where you can store some extra guns and goods, some gun racks, no armor lockers, but it's got a pretty hefty vehicle bay. You could probably store a few good extra vehicles in there. It has 2 beds for logging off in, but doesn't provide any kitchenette or anything like that. The CUTLASS Black, while it is a classic, it's kind of lower on my tier list. Its shields aren't all that strong, doesn't have that much HP, and you can't really do that much damage to things, but it maneuvers well and it looks pretty badass. So if you're staying out of people's way and you just want to get some stuff done, it's a pretty good option to fly around in. Same can be said with the next ship here, the Freelancer. It has 2 size 2 shields, which is twice the amount of the CUTLASS Black, and it has about 30,000 HP. It has 4 size 3 guns that can be fired solo, which can do just a little bit more damage than the CUTLASS Black, but it does about half the damage with its missile payload. Its speeds aren't as good as the CUTLASS Black, but they're comparable, and it handles pretty much the same. Its maneuverability and it handles an atmosphere pretty good. It also has a size 2 quantum drive with the same amount of fuel the CUTLASS Black has. It's pretty much the one people directly compare to the CUTLASS Black. It's either you're into the Drake style or you're into the MISC kind of all steel style, and you get the Freelancer. It has slightly more cargo space, but there's no crew storage lockers or gun racks. It has a vehicle bay, and it's pretty good. It's got a nice little size in there. And you've also got 4 beds instead of 2 like the CUTLASS Black that you can log off in. It does have a kitchenette in it, but there's no gameplay that really uses that at the moment. People either love or hate MISC ships. I'm on the fence. There's some that I really do not like, and there's some like the Freelancer that I do like, that kind of gives me a sort of retro vintage UFO kind of aesthetic about it, like the 60s sci-fi that I think is kind of quaint. And the Freelancer definitely embodies that well. The next ship, the Origin 400i, is a huge step up from the past 2 ships. It has a size 3 shield that provides a whopping 115,000 shield HP, and it has over double the hull HP with 80,500. Although it only has 2 size 3 guns that can be fired by the pilot for about 492 DPS, and the missile damage is about 82,000 if you put the right ones in there. The speed is far better than the other ones as well, and it maneuvers really well. This thing's fast and it'll really rip. You just can't really kill anything with it. The 400i is pretty much, it's a luxury ship for touring. If you're trying to get around the verse and want to get some stuff done, but you don't want to be bothered by someone else or your main move if someone tries to jump you is to get the fuck out of there, this is your ship. You'll probably be faster than them in the 400i and be able to outrun anything that they throw at you with those shields, and you're definitely fast enough to get out of there and jump to another point relatively easily. You can also stay out in space for a lot longer with this one, with about 5,000 quantum fuel, and you can store quite a lot of stuff on it with 42 SCUs of cargo space. There's no crew storage lockers. There is gun racks, but you can't really use them at the moment. There's a vehicle bay in it, which can allow you to store an Ursa rover or any other small vehicles. And there's 3 beds that people can use to log off in. There's also a mess hall in the back, but it's also not currently usable in-game. Here we have the Vanguard Harbinger, the missile version of the Vanguard series. Most people will probably tell you to get the Vanguard Sentinel, but while it is more maneuverable and better at dogfighting, I prefer the Harbinger as a solo player, since with the 3 size 5 missiles that it can carry, firing those torpedoes off will pretty much delete anyone who's in your way. It has 2 size 2 shields with 20,000 HP, pretty much it's the same as the Freelancer, except the hull HP is 42,900. It has 1 size 4 weapon and 4 size 2 weapons on the nose. So as a solo fly, it can deal about 1,029 DPS, while all those missiles and those giant torpedoes can deliver a devastating 96,000 damage, who's unfortunate enough to be at the end of that. It's relatively fast too, and you can handle it quite well in atmosphere, so you won't be caught unprepared if you're in atmosphere and you get yourself in a spot of trouble. It has a size 2 quantum drive, but can only hold about 2,500 quantum fuel, and one of the huge downsides of this one over the others is that it only has 1.5 SCU of cargo space, so you're not really going to be able to enter the cargo hauling gameplay loop there. It does have gun racks and does have lockers to store your stuff, but there's no way you're going to be able to fit any vehicle, not even a bike or a golf cart in the back of this one, so no luck. But there are 2 beds to log off in, and it does have a kitchenette, which, is something. I'd say the Vanguard is for someone who's more interested in the dogfighting element of the game, and not so much of the moving things around in the back of your Jeep kind of gameplay. If blowing things up is what you're more interested in, then the Vanguard's a pretty good daily driver for that. Mercury Star Runner is a favorite among a lot of people on Star Citizen. Even people that are obsessed with high DPS and massive shields will find the Mercury Star Runner is among one of their favorite daily drivers. With 2 size 2 shields with about 20,000 HP and around 37,000 hull HP. It's not necessarily the strongest or beefiest of them, and its DPS isn't that great either, as you only got 2 size 3 pilot controlled weapons and 22,000 worth of missile damage that it can fire out. But its speeds max out in the highest among this entire list. It maneuvers really well, handles great in atmosphere. For a rather large ship, it handles a lot more like a much smaller, nimble ship, so you can really get in and out of trouble very easily. It has a size 2 quantum drive with the highest amount of fuel capacity out of anything else on this list, with 9,740 liters. It has the highest cargo size with 114 SCU of cargo space out of the ones in this list. There's no crew storage on here, but it does have gun racks and it does have lockers, as well as a really quite a hefty vehicle bay. It's 3 beds that allow your crew to log off and on from, and it's got a cute little mess hall. While the Mercury Star Runner has not the best layout to get in and out from easily, as you have to exit from the back vehicle bay, it does have one of the prettier layouts. It has a secret set of vents underneath it that you can run around and play Among Us in, and every room feels like it has a real purpose. I'd say it's probably one of the best looking ships internally. It's a really good set to say if it was like in a TV or a film, let's put it that way. But having to pass through the entire ship to get in and out can be a little bit annoying to do. But that being said, if you like the feeling of living in a ship that you play in, and that's something that you want to focus on with your daily driver, Mercury Star Runner is probably one of the better ones. And with its obvious design cues from the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, a lot of people are going to vibe with this one for sure. Next up, probably one of the most iconic Star Citizen ships, Constellation Andromeda has a size 3 shield with a whopping 115,000 HP, 180,000 hull HP, 4 size 4 cannons on it, which can dish out a good 1,570 DPS, or a whopping 132,000 missile damage if armed right. Its speed isn't among the highest, sort of maxing around 900, and it maneuvers okay and in atmosphere and space, but not as good as the Mercury Star Runner. It has a size 2 quantum drive with about 3,000 fuel, which isn't the best, but if fuel's not your issue, then you're all good. And it has the second top highest cargo space with 96 SCU of storage space. There's no crew lockers. It does have some gun racks and armor lockers, and it's got a good vehicle bay which you can fit an Ursa rover inside of, and a little snub ship at the back that you can actually dock and undock while you're in flight if you need something more nimbler. It has 4 beds for crews to log in and off with, and there is no sort of mess hall or kitchen area, which is kind of a little bit odd, to be honest, with a ship this size, but it doesn't really affect anything since there's no gameplay loop for that anyway. One of my favorite parts about the Connie, other than the look of it and the fact it can do so much damage and is so versatile, is actually the front little airlock elevator that gets you in and out of the ship. It's very close to the front bridge, so when you're flying and when you land, it's very easy to get in and out of it without having to worry too much about running all the way through and navigating yourself through the ship to get in and out, which after a while can become a real pain. The latest entry on this list is the Drake Corsair. Often compared to the Constellation series, Corsair has exactly the same shield size with a size 3 shield, so you can get about 115,000 shield HP, but with less than half of the armor with 88,000 HP, which, while that's still higher than the 400i, which was the previous highest on this list other than the Constellation, it's still half as much as the Connie. That being said, the main attraction to the Corsair is that it has 4 size 3 and 2 size 2 pilot-controlled weapons, which enables you to dish out 2,262 DPS if you're running laser repeaters on everything. But it has about a third of the amount of missile strength, with only 44,000 missile damage. The speeds aren't anything to write home about in this one, maxing out at about 950, and the maneuverability is, well, it flies like a brick. That's what you're paying for with that amount of pilot-controlled gun damage. Essentially, if you want to fly this thing and you want to kill something, you probably want to try and kill it in the first or second pass, because once they get around your backside or your belly, that's when you're going to start being vulnerable, as it's not very hard to move around and realign things if you're flying solo. The QT drive is pretty great, where you get a size 2 with about 5,000 liters of fuel. And the cargo space isn't nothing to laugh about either, with 72 SCU of cargo space. There's 4 crew lockers in their individual bedrooms, a great little armory with gun racks and lockers, and the vehicle bay can handle, I think you can fit 2 Ursa rovers in that thing, so it's pretty great. There's 4 beds to log off into, and you've got a really substantial mess hall, so if you do have people around, it really is a great area to hang out and plan the next mission. Overall, the Corsair is a pretty great option, albeit the only real issue being its speed and maneuverability. So what you lose with that, you make up with that damage or even the potential threat that you may impose on other people. But if someone sees you in atmosphere or parked and have the balls to take you on, then something slightly more nimble could really give you a hard time if caught unaware. That all being said, the Corsair really is one of the best options for a new addition to the game. You have a really amazing elevator that can get you to the roof or down to the ground easily, so if you need to fight someone off from the safety of the top of your ship with a pistol or a rifle, you can do that. and it's got the right amount of room and flow that you need to be able to move around a ship like this. Not to mention, the vehicle bay door has one of the best sound effects in the game when you open and close it. And finally, my last recommendation on the list. It's a bit of an odd one, maybe, but it's the Redeemer. The reason I think this is one of my favorite daily drivers is that it has the hugest shield pool with 2 size 3s, giving you a whopping 230,000 HP shield damage and a massive armor damage of 102,000 HP. Purely this alone makes the Redeemer fantastic as a daily driver. If you're out and about and you want to park and leave it for a while and go into a bunker, one of the most annoying things in the verse is someone flying by and just choosing on a whim to destroy your ship just because it's being unmanned at the time. This amount of shield and HP pretty much makes it untouchable if you've kept your shields on from any Aurora or lower class ship that wants to just hassle you while you're away. And for that, it's one of my favorite daily drivers, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves in the verse. The solo damage as well is phenomenal. With 2 size 4 and 2 size 3 pilot controlled guns, you can put out a great 1,359 damage, and the missile damage is 444,000 if you arm it right. The speed's half decent, and it kind of maneuvers like a whale in a bathtub. It handles okay in atmosphere, but each movement you're going to make if someone's flying around you is going to be very slow and controlled. But if you know what you're looking at and know how long it takes to tilt the thing, you're going to be okay. Not only that, but with its size 2 quantum drive and 5,700 liters of fuel, you'll be able to keep this thing going around for quite a while without having to refuel. That being said, the cargo size, you're not going to be shipping any cargo to make any money with only 2 SEU of storage, but you do have 4 crew lockers that you can stash extra guns and things in. And it has a great little gun rack, and there's lockers to keep some suits in. There's no way you're going to keep another vehicle in this thing, but with this amount of armor and shielding, you don't really need to, as you can kind of fly right up to whatever and you're going to have the advantage. There's 4 beds in there for people to log off in, and it has the best kitchen in the game so far, so you actually have a usable fridge that comes stocked with food and drink each time you claim it. So that's free, and has saved my life many times when I've forgotten to eat or drink. And one of the greatest things about the Redeemer is if you actually do have a crew, you're essentially a miniature version of a hammerhead. You have 2 massive turrets that can be controlled by other players that have 2 size 5 Gatling guns, which just shred anything they look at. And you have so much shield and HP on this thing that even if you're flying solo and something is sort of out of your view, you can just get out of the driver's seat, crank the shield, walk over to one of those turrets, jump in, and have enough firepower and time to easily wipe them out and then get back to the pilot seat to keep going. You can literally ghost ride this whip. And yes, the vehicle bay door does sound quite nice too. I don't know why that's such a big deal for me, but it does sound nice. And those are my top picks for the best daily drivers in Star Citizen. Now, an honorable mention goes out to the Origin 600i, the giant floating egg. Look, it's quite good as well, but I just don't like flying it. It doesn't handle very well. It can handle itself, but it's just a bit big. It's a bit weird moving, and until it gets its rework done, I'm just not interested in flying that thing. So, maybe once the rework's done, I'll take a look at it again. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you think that I've missed a good daily driver, let me know in the comments below and maybe I'll take a look at it again. My name's Dead Leader, and I'll see you out in the verse.
Dead Leader